What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Kofi Kingston, aka 1/3 of the New Day. You're not gonna say it with me, sir? Yeah, come on, you better participate. Let's try it again. 1/3 of the New Day, and you are watching The Young and the Wrestlers. Ha 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 ha.
Welcome to The Young and the Wrestlers, the Pop Culture's WWE podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Betson, alongside...
I'm stuck on a plane in Saudi Arabia. I'm Jem.
You can listen to this show, our SmackDown review, every Tuesday morning on your podcast services. That's 8 a.m. iTunes, Spotify, other ones, whatever there are. I'm sure there's more. And we are also on the YouTubes at 9 a.m. on the same day. If you want to join that wrestling conversation, however, head over to Facebook, facebook.com/group/popcultures, Discord, Twitter. Links are in the description. And our Twitter handles are nicely under our faces here on this beautiful new layout made by our good friend Dirt Sheet Dash in record time.
I hope it's not real.
Big shout out to the AI that is Dash that made this wonderful layout. It's much appreciated. If you want to join the conversation live as it happens, like a couple people are doing right now, head over to patreon.com/popculturist. Support us at any dollar value. Get yourself a nice little sneaky link to watch us record not just this show, as well as our other show, our Raw In Review, and For the Players, our PlayStation podcast. We are also on Twitch, twitch.tv/thepopculturists. How are you, Jem?
I'm good. I am living the country life at the moment. I'm hiding away at my mum's place. It's raining, but it's kind of really lovely. But no, I'm doing really well. How about yourself?
I'm well, man. So, because it's Monday here. Mm-hmm. So it's we're at the day of recording. So tomorrow or today, time of recording, is Melbourne Cup Day. Because I'm based in Geelong, there's Geelong Cup. I don't get Geelong Cup off in my workplace, so I get the Monday off. So I got today off, and then I get tomorrow off. So it's a big 4-day weekend for me right now. It's been absolutely amazing. Beautiful. So but yeah, so I know it's no getaways for me. It's just mostly been chilling at home. I watched about like 9 episodes of South Park today. It was awesome. So because my kid still had daycare, so he went to daycare and yeah, I just watched South Park and chilled.
Nice.
But one thing we did watch was SmackDown Live.
Yeah, we did.
Nope, it's just called SmackDown now. SmackDown Live is the old one. Correction, reverse it. But there are some, before we get into this episode, Jem, there are some things we do need to clarify for those that need to know. So, prior to this episode, literally the day before, almost 24 hours before, Crown Jewel happened.
It did. Now,
there's not a lot of things that, like, we chose not to talk about Crown Jewel for a number of different reasons, but there are some things that did take place at that show that we need to talk about.
Yes. Well, they do get covered in this episode as well.
Yes, they do get addressed, but we'll get them out of the way now, and then we have a quick chat about our thoughts on that, and then what the events that took place after that to bring us into SmackDown. So, the things that need to be known coming into this are probably the pretty much, I guess, kind of most of the matches. So there was a United States Championship match with AJ Styles against I can't say it, Jem.
Humberto Carrillo.
Thank you. He won that in like a over-the-top battle royal, I believe, in the kickoff show, which was kind of a given. He was going to be given a go anyway. Obviously, he didn't win. I didn't actually see that match. I just know the result. Then we saw the tag team turmoil match. Once again, didn't watch it. I just know the result, and that was the OC. So they are now can be gloated as the best tag team in the world, according to WWE. Interesting result. Not who I thought was going to take it.
Yeah.
And then we also had the first ever women's match, which I did watch. I watched that match for a couple of different reasons. One, I think it's astounding. As I said on Twitter, it's one of those things. This won't resolve all the issues that this country is facing, especially around women's rights. But it is a step in the right direction, and I think I mirrored those same points in the last episode. But it was very cool. It was very emotional. I would be lying if I didn't, feel a little bit. Did you check it out?
I haven't watched all of it. I did see some of it.
Yeah. So because one of the questions we did ask, like, how they're going to go around their strict laws on female exposure in terms of body parts. They were wearing essentially big wetsuits, almost like full body suits with a shirt over the top.
It looked like Natalya was wearing her regular outfit just with her pink shirt over top.
Potentially,
but obviously, Lacey Evans was in tights and a long sleeves and very clearly not what Lacey Evans would wear. Yeah.
So as I said, like it's still certainly a win in the right direction.
100%.
Yeah. So, as the resident female, Jem, how does that make you feel?
Well, I watched, as I was watching it, honestly, I started to choke up a little bit because, the women's evolution is coming so far, and it's so huge to see monumental steps like this for us women, like things like main eventing WrestleMania, and then being the first ever women's match in Saudi Arabia, and then like seeing video footage of young girls and women over there like crying over this. It was huge, and just the respect that Natalya and Lacey had for each other regarding it as well. Like, this is huge for them too as individuals. And the handshake before the match and the hug afterwards, it was a very emotional moment for me. Like, it's crazy to think that women are coming so far so quickly.
That's true. And Dash in the chat does say Lacey Evans was out of character for this one, and understandably so. I think it's okay for her to be out of character in this, because I think this is more about, rather than furthering a storyline or any sort of growth with either her character as Lacey Evans or Natalya, I think it was just more about getting it done and doing it and just doing something momentous.
Progressing the women's evolution.
Yeah, which is very, very cool. So there was also the Tyson Fury Braun Strowman match. That was an alright match. You can tell that Tyson was super green. There was a lot of Braun, like, fucking tell him to do shit, like just get up. Or like a lot of very not so subtle tells. However, it did end with Braun on the apron. Tyson Fury sucks him right in the side of the face, drops out, gets the 10 count because he got stumbled outside. Didn't technically so they're known as a TKO. So although he wasn't knocked out, he wasn't able to compete any further. So he didn't get clean out, so he didn't lay on the ground or like unconscious. Like, he just stumbled his way. So it made Braun look okay. Made Tyson look alright, but then he came in and just kicked the shit out of Tyson, so that was fun.
Yeah. I did say that.
Then there was the Brock versus Cain Velasquez match. So this was done. The match went down in about 2 minutes or less. It was essentially, it was almost a UFC match in a wrestling ring. It lasted about as long, and it was one of those exact moments of there was no big flashy stuff. It was a situation of two guys sparring, getting shots on, and then the second the Brock saw a moment that he could jump in and take it, gets him in a Kimura, and then Kane taps. So it's a bit disappointing that it went as quick as it did, but if they wanted to tell that more sports-orientated story, they kind of got it. Because UFC fights, 9 out of 10 times, are really boring.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, and this was exactly that. But the big one was the Universal Championship match. Seth Rollins, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, Falls Count Anywhere, cannot be stopped at any cost or any reason. And your new Universal Champion is The Fiend, Bray Wyatt.
Shocking.
Yeah, man. I thought nothing. It's the only outcome that made sense, especially if they're holding it as tight as they were. Like, you can't do this. You can't do, as in, like, it's not going to be stopped. There's no DQs or anything. I was like, well, the only way it's going to go is if The Fiend take it out. But I did not think they would commit. I really didn't.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think it could have gone either way, especially saying with like Seth utilizing that forklift last week. I definitely thought like maybe he could hold Bray Wyatt down with something like that.
But there's a joke that I saw on What Culture. Does that mean technically the forklift won the match? Does that mean the forklift is the next contender for the Universal Championship? Like, where does it sit? That made me chuckle. That was pretty genius.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the situation ended with the Fiend being thrown into a bunch of conveniently placed road cases. It's like a little hole, falls in, sparks, pyro, goes nuts. Seth comes down, pulls the road boxes out of the side, and then I think it's a mandible claw down for the pin. There it is.
Was it a mandible claw and a Sister Abigail?
It was, yes. I think it was an Abigail, yeah. I said I haven't watched that one yet either. Just saw the highlights, but yeah, it was pretty much how it went down. How do you think this is going to go now with Bray as the champ?
Don't know.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, people are a little bit over Seth Rollins at the moment, so I think it could definitely be a case of trying to build that hype back up and get him back on the chase for that title. It could be something completely different for all we know, so it's really hard to say.
But is the issue with Bray being so over, like whoever steps up to take it from him will instantly be shortchanged? And if he can't be beaten by Seth Rollins as it stands with everything he has in his arsenal, what is there left to do?
Yeah.
Like, as in, who else could take him? There is that, like that. I guess they've kind of written themselves into a corner, and whether they did this to appease fans, it's a situation because I'm happy with the result. However,
same.
If I had to speculate of where it was going to go, I don't have an answer for you.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference here.
Definitely bewildered.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's pretty much where that's set up to. Now, after Crown Jewel, there was an issue. The many superstars, crew, almost everyone that was involved, aside from like 20 people, were then grounded in Saudi Arabia. They were unable to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, so apparently there was a fault with the plane and they sat on the tarmac for 6 hours.
Yeah, so yeah, apparently there was mechanical issues with the plane. They were stuck on the tarmac for 6 hours. They were then shipped back to a hotel when then they were sought to be taking a plane the next morning or the following morning. It would be about 3 a.m. Local time. However, even that was delayed an hour and a half. So the rumor mill, although the rumor mill is that it wasn't technical concerns. The issue was more of a dispute. So apparently WWE have not been paid in full for the last 2 pay-per-views. Or the last single pay-per-view. I think maybe Super Showdown from earlier this year. From the Saudi government. Or even if they were paid, it was short. So what Vince has done is essentially gone, cut the live feed for the show for their local area, for their local TV. And then they kind of got into a dick measuring contest until then. So saying that, this does seem to be potential retaliation for that decision. And this is that's how I interpret it. I interpret it as this is Saudi Arabia demonstrating their power or their attempt of power.
Yeah.
Because then, knowing full well that there was a show the next day, if they held them down, they're not making that show.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's kind of crap. If you follow any superstars on Twitter, you know that they were having a shit time, and a lot of them, I do think, will potentially rebel or have an issue with doing it again next year. I just don't think they would do it. They're not willing to do it.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that everybody's going to boycott Saudi and they're not going to have any shows there anymore.
Yeah, and I do wonder, if they aren't keeping their deal and they're not funding the money over to WWE, is there a loophole in that contract where they can just can it? Like, although it's a long deal, is there any particular reason they?
Well, if you're not getting paid for something, they're not keeping up their end of the contract, which means they're forfeiting it anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, they can say you can't get out of this contract, and we can be like, well, you're not holding up your end of the contract, so yes, we can.
Yeah. Well, that depends. Like, what is the ground? What is that deal, and how does that work? So Killer does add in the chat as well. Apparently, even Velasquez was part of the crew that was detained. That is totally correct. The only folks to get out were the ones of that you guys that everyone would know would be Vince himself. He got out in a private jet. Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar got out on a private jet. Tyson Fury got out on a private jet or with one of the other guys. There was only a handful of people that got out. So it's kind of bullcrap. So in that had left to a lot of issues coming in to this episode of SmackDown. However, when they've been pushed into a corner here, and they delivered. They delivered something amazing.
They deliver their best.
So let's get right into it. This took place at Buffalo in New York. Starts off with a shot of the commentating team. And straight away you notice there's a difference because Michael Cole, Corey Graves, they were at Crown Jewel. They aren't here. So on the table we have Tom Phillips, Aiden English, and Renee Young.
Yep.
Very happy to see that. I was like, oh shit, cool. So, like Aiden English, I believe, does NXT UK. Renee's now off doing her backstage, and Tom Phillips is around.
He's around.
So it was very cool to have them all come through. I think they did some pretty cool work as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It did. So the show did kick off with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman making their way into the ring. We did have Kayla Braxton as ring announcer because why have I forgot his name?
Mike?
No.
Mike Roman?
No. The regular SmackDown guy.
The guy that does the best in the world for Shane McMahon.
Yes, who's now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Mike Roman or something like that.
I don't know. I completely brain fart on his name. But obviously, he's not there. He was at Crown Jewel, so they've had Kayla come in. Awesome moment for Kayla to step up, and she did a really damn good job, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah,
she actually nailed it. So talk about how Brock has successfully retained his title, and Paul says that Brock is really pissed off because one thing we failed to mention at Crown Jewel, once Velasquez did tap, Brock refused to let go of the Kimura. Rey Mysterio came in, chaired him across the back, and then they began like a big old sword fight with chairs. It was cool.
I'm pretty sure he attacked Velasquez because I did see an F5 on a chair and stuff like that.
He did, yeah. So
that's
once
when Rey jumped
once
into the
Rey
chair.
got taken out, it was then onto a chair, and then Rey came back in with a second chair.
Okay, yep.
They then show the video of exactly what I said. They showed the entire Brock match and follow up in its entirety, and it was like, oh man, they're really gonna be filling time. This is gonna become a quick show. There's genuine concern there. And then there was a situation where Paul Heyman was talking about Vince McMahon. He goes, if you don't know who Vince McMahon is, Google him, bitches. Because he's talking about how Brock is that pissed because Rey is technically he's a Raw superstar. He cannot come over here, therefore Brock cannot fight him and get his revenge. Which is odd because Rey has been there the last 3 weeks with Kane. Yeah. So apparently he can't compete, but he's allowed to be there, I guess.
Yeah. So apparently Vince was like, oh, you're not allowed to, like, Paul and Brock want Rey handed up to them on a silver platter, and Vince is just like, no, because he's contractually obligated to Raw. He's not allowed to perform on SmackDown, and you're contractually obligated to SmackDown. You can't perform on Raw.
Therefore, Paul Heyman announces that Brock Lesnar quits SmackDown, and that he is heading over to Raw this coming Monday. Yeah. Yep. So what do you think of this?
This was interesting. Very, very interesting. Not at all what I was expecting.
No.
But yeah, Brock's just decided, hey, I quit and I'm going to show up on Raw. So I guess technically he is a free agent now.
I'm not quite sure where that sits, but
because it isn't wouldn't him being drafted mean he's in some sort of contract?
We would assume so. I guess it depends what the rules of these contracts are. But it is interesting seeing, because as it stands right now, up until this exact moment, both big brand championships were on SmackDown. Obviously, Bray Wyatt being a SmackDown superstar as well. So having Brock head over to Raw, at least in a one-off fashion, or quitting, kind of puts that belt in a free agent space. It also doesn't have a dedicated home, which is interesting thing for Brock to almost barter with, right? Mm-hmm. So that was instantly fascinating for me. Yeah. Because I was thinking that maybe... because as with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross coming over to SmackDown and offering Raw trade credits as payment, that they would then take Bray Wyatt back. Yeah. However, it looks as if Bray Wyatt may be staying, and maybe once Brock comes over, that Raw's like, oh yeah, we'll take him. Boom.
Yeah,
Maybe. And then as they're walking, so that they are then leaving the building, and we see Triple H kind of comes off the right side of the screen, like, oh hey, and he's there with Shawn Micheals, who's decked in literally everything NXT.
Yeah.
Now, it was announced on Twitter beforehand that, quote, NXT is coming to save the day. So what they did is they flew up a ton of NXT people. Now, the show kicks off at 8 o'clock US time. They arrived at 7:55.
Oh, shit.
Yep. So they literally pulled up, and then the next segment happens. Like, that's why they were killing time at the start, because they were like, we need to extend this out because they are on their way. They're being police escorted from the airport. We need to help them out.
Yeah, shit.
Next up was Bayley versus Nikki. This is for the title match that Nikki was promised.
Yep, 2 weeks ago she won.
That's correct.
Rocking some beautiful PopC purple.
Thank you.
We love you.
I think they're totally noticing. Is what I'm saying. It's like,
Kofi spread the word.
He did. Kofi's like, these guys are pretty sweet. Oh, there's a lot of purple going on. Everyone's rocking purple all of a sudden. It's amazing. Hello, my boy. My kid's breaking in. That's all cool. It wouldn't be a podcast if my son didn't break in at some point. I'll let you run through this one, Jem.
So Bayley obviously always with Sasha Banks. She enters, Nikki Cross comes through. So good match, obviously it always is. They've got a lot to prove. However, the match was prominently like Sasha Banks interfering.
Yeah.
I believe it was Tom Phillips did make the good point of mentioning that Bayley talks about, doing this by herself and all this other shit, but it seems that she's not the only one fighting for the title. Like, Sasha Banks is clearly doing it.
That's a good way to look at it, actually, so the involvement there.
Yeah. So he mentioned it a couple of times that Bayley's like, I'm going to fight for myself and, I'm fighting for this, but clearly it's 2-on-1 every match.
It's the same setup as like Andrade and Zelina. Like, every time you are taking 2-on-1.
Yep, exactly it. Which Nikki handled really well. Like, she did absolutely amazing with it. But unfortunately, it did get to a point where Nikki did knock out Sasha Banks. She climbed to the top rope. Banks got up and threw her off. Bayley got a vicious, what was it? It was like a sweeping leg, front face smashy thing. I don't know what it's called. And she did retain her title. But as this happened, you see the camera pan to Sasha Banks getting the shit beat out of her by Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, I popped so hard.
Yeah.
Like, so hard. So this is essentially all this tells me is that the van, like the SUV's pulled up. Shayna's like, what's going on? What's going on right now? Bayley versus Nikki. All right, can someone hold my bag?
And just sprinted in title in hand. Yeah.
Came in there,
and she kicked Nikki out of the ring and then just brutalized Bayley.
Yeah.
Absolutely brutalized her while everybody's chanting NXT.
There was
NXT.
a fantastic step up knee off Bayley's.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. So Shayna just kicked the shit out of Bayley. Bayley drops, so Shayna goes to get up, goes put a jacket on, re-sleeves her jacket, looks over Bayley's gun, she's like, nope, all right, drops that shit down.
Beautiful.
And then eventually she does.
Man.
Yeah. Then she starts put the jacket on, grabs her belt, and makes her way out of the ring, out of the arena. It was absolutely beautiful. I was incredibly happy when I saw this.
Yeah, so good.
We then get announced that Pat McAfee has been replacing Aiden English, which is an interesting decision that Aiden got moved off, but that's fine. Okay.
I mean, I like you said, he was probably filling time until McAfee got there.
Yep, potentially. Now, like I said, the only problem with his name is it makes me think of antivirus software, and that's confusing.
Yeah.
So there was a backstage discussion with Kathy Kelly. She was having a chat with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn discusses the pattern of NXT stars showing up, and he talks about how, they're all here.
They're messing with the wrong people.
That's
Don't
right.
step to us. Like, you're going to have a bad time if you try and step to our show and this, that, and the other.
It's like, look, I'm not saying if anyone, but if it was me, this and this. I was like, then, fuck, dude. Then we get a slow, almost like a slow zoom out, and then we see Matt Riddle, Keith Lee. I popped my face out again.
So did I. As soon as I saw Riddle, I was like, bro.
I was like, it's so cool. So then he talks to them about the ideas.
He starts talking to me. I was like, hey, I love NXT.
Yeah, NXT is brilliant. Like, I was the heart and soul of NXT. I was
big fan, guys. Big
I'm
fan.
wearing an NXT shirt. Let me just. Oh, this is actually a plain black tea. I'm so sorry. I was eating
a salad and it was really oily.
It's really oily dressing.
Didn't want to damage my shirt.
Yes,
I'll just go to the car and get it.
Yeah, I'll be right back. And I'm like, okay, we'll come with you. It's like, no, it's cool. You hang here. Like, take advantage of the night. I'll be right back.
And they just keep following, and Sammy's like, and he just sprints off around a corner, and they just go sprinting after him. And then you hear the arena pop, and you see the camera pan out from the stage where they're like all coming in. And they get in the ring, and you can hear like Sami Zayn like bro to Matt Riddle, and like the other guy's like oh no, as he's running out, he goes to jump the barrier, and Riddle catches him running in these bright pink sandals, throws him in the ring where Keith Lee's waiting for him, and it's like bro, and Riddle like kicks off his sandals, and then one doesn't come off, so he kicks it again and almost clocks him in his own hand. And then he's just like, come on guys, like seriously bro, like, and then they just brutalize him.
Yeah, so Matt Riddle did essentially like a Styles clash, but I forget what he calls it. Bro something.
Something about bro.
Yeah, so he drops him right in the corner. Keith Lee then gets up, does this exceptional moonsault for a ginormous dude.
Yeah!
I was like, oh, fuck. And he just like flattens Sammy.
Sammy gonna die.
Then we get Keith music. Then we get Matt Riddle's music. And I'm on my couch. I'm like,
bro.
Just feeling it. Just feeling it.
Bro.
Overall, the feeling was just amazing.
I popped so hard.
Oh.
I'm like, I don't know what it is about Matt Riddle, but I absolutely adore him.
Yeah.
So I was like over the moon to see him there, and I was just like, look at your pink jandals. You're so cute.
See, one of the things when I promote this show, it's all about how we essentially just mark out every week, like marking out has such a negative expression to it, but fuck it, it's fun.
It's
so like
much fun.
Right now, I'm marking out just talking about what we saw.
Yeah.
Like if you were here when I
wild.
was watching it, like it was brilliant.
Yeah.
So I marked
Absolutely
that
amazing.
really hard at this overall.
Yeah,
Then we get a Miz TV.
We do.
So
they do announce beforehand that because Bray Wyatt is with the other superstars in Saudi Arabia, the Miz would be interviewing himself.
So this is one thing that's kind of interesting. So the Fiend, almost like an interdimensional super being, also stuck on a plane.
Yeah.
Like is he sitting there in full getup, just like. Because as far as I know, we've never seen Bray Wyatt outside of the Funhouse.
I have once, but that was on a like morning news show.
Yes. So, I guess that's true. So there is, Bro Derek is the name of the move there, says Killer.
Oh, the Bro Derek. I love it.
So there's like precedence for him to be out as Bray Wyatt, I suppose. So, okay.
Yeah.
I'll take that back.
Yeah.
You run this one, man, because I got really excited about the other one.
Yeah. So, Miz TV, the Miz does like mention that his guest can't be here. Let's have a look at what happened. Monumental moment. It does show that, like, obviously photos, stills of the match. Bray Wyatt, the Fiend leaving with the championship. He's like, Miz goes on to say, like, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is NXT.
Because we should also mention as well, it was announced at Crown Jewel that Survivor Series at the end of this month is a 3-way. It's Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. Hell yes!
I am so excited for that.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But yeah, the Miz talks about, NXT coming in here. They're just wrecking shop. Obviously, we just saw Sami Zayn get brutalized by Keith Lee and Matt Riddle. I kind of loved it. I bet you guys did too. And everybody's like, yeah! And as he's chatting away, some music hits. And I'm like, oh, I know the sound of this. Tommaso fucking Ciampa.
Took me a second. I'm like, my kid was
took me a second too until he walked out and I was like,
my kid was being a butt and being loud because he's a kid. I'm like, who is that? Like, it's not Gargano. Gargano is super easy to pick. Like, who is it? Yeah. Oh my God, Ciampa.
Yeah. Initially when I heard it took me like a second or two and I was like, is that Tommaso? And then I saw the beard come out and I was like, like, I was so excited.
Yeah.
And yeah, he comes in and just starts ripping into the Miz. He's like, you're out here being an actor and a superstar trying to like interview yourself. He's like, you want to play the part, buddy. I am the part. I am the best there is. Like, I am the best in this industry. Yeah, he just like, the Miz is like, oh, he goes, where is it? oh yeah, he's like, oh, you know, I've heard it all before, kid. Like, you think you're the first person to tell me this? He's like,
15 years I've been in this business. 15, because he just celebrated 15 years of WWE like last week. So this is him essentially going like, look, I've said it before. I've done everything. I know who you are. You're Tommaso Ciampa. It's not as if I'm just like new to whoever you are.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he goes on to mention that, like, he says something and Tommaso Ciampa goes, those sound like fighting words to me. And the Miz just gets right in his face and he goes, you, me, match now.
Yeah!
And ad break and we come back and there's a match. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I had a lot of fun watching this. I do love Tommaso Ciampa. Absolutely do love him. Obviously, they do mention McAfee, whatever you want to call him.
McAfee.
I'm just going to call him Pat. Pat goes on to talk about how, you know, Tommaso Ciampa broke his freaking neck and he's only been back in it for 2 weeks. And
well, longer than 2 weeks, but he has been around a little while. But like not a long time, like hardly.
Not a long time at all. Which did show that there were a few things that could have been a little rusty. But overall, beautiful match. It was absolutely amazing. Tommaso Ciampa did get, I believe it's called the fairy tale ending.
Yep.
Which did cause the win.
Gave him the 1, 2, 3. Oh.
Yep.
Oh.
Beautiful.
Oh.
Beautiful.
Oh, loved it. It's absolutely amazing. I enjoyed it front to back. That was so good.
Yeah. So good.
Next, we get Daniel Bryan walking backstage looking mad. He made
so
it.
Mad.
So he walks up to Triple H and HBK and he goes and asks what they're doing here. Triple H says, we're just visiting, man. We're just here. And then he goes, we saw an ad for Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT.
Watch Crunchyroll. I watch Crunchyroll.
Yeah, and he thought it was being called out. So he's like, well, you know what? I'm gonna bring some of my guys up. Just a bit of fun. So he goes, Daniel's like, hey, so that means you guys looking for a fight. How about you and I have a fight? And I was like,
oh shit.
Mate, that's a WrestleMania match right there.
Yeah.
Like, that's a Triple H retirement match.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're about to get that. And he's like, well, I didn't bring my gear. And in the background, HBK's taking
wrestle in a suit.
HBK's taking his jacket off. And I was like, oh my God, HBK fucking trained Daniel Bryan. This is going to be amazing. And he's like, oh, no, it's really cold. I'm putting my jacket back on. I'm like, damn it.
And then like Triple H is just like, but I know somebody who does want to fight. And he just says, hey, champ. And some guy walks over. And I was like,
boom.
Adam Cole, baby.
Yes.
Oh.
So Adam Cole comes out with the belt and he gets all up in his shit. It was awesome. And then Brian said, well, let's make this interesting. Let's if
we're gonna do it right.
That's right, let's do it for that belt.
Adam Cole, Daniel Bryan for the NXT Championship.
And he's like, all right, let's
Triple
do
H
it.
is like, what do you think, champ? And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then he just drops the boom.
Fantastic.
Beautiful. I was so excited. I was like, oh shit, like Daniel Bryan's gonna walk out of here with the NXT Championship.
Yeah. That was my concern. I'm like, what happens if Bryan wins? Does that mean Bryan's then going down in development? Like, is he gone back? Is he Finn Balor-ing this?
Yeah. Well, with obviously, you know, it's SummerSlam coming up and it's all 3 brands. Like, who
Survivor
knows?
Series, but
like,
yes.
anything's possible.
If you wanted anyone to watch NXT, you put Daniel Bryan in NXT. Everyone will watch NXT. I was like,
yeah.
This could go amazing.
Yeah.
This is going to be amazing.
And they're both amazing superstars. It's going to be an amazing match regardless.
They truly are. So next up, after the ad break, we see Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville are already in the ring. They are to be having a match with Carmella. But she was
seems Carmella's music's playing, but she just doesn't show up.
Yeah, she's nowhere to be seen. So then they cut to backstage footage of Bianca Belair just kicking the living fuck out of Dana Brooke. Carmella's in the corner like, We didn't even see what she did. Whatever she did really messed up Carmella is all I'm saying. So after she pounds out Dana Brooke, throws her in a road case, just gorilla presses Carmella, Bianca Belair throws her over the top in a somewhere.
Yeah.
This one moment made me rethink Bianca Belair.
Yeah, definitely. I was the same.
I have strongly discussed I'm like, I don't quite like her as a character. And then I saw this, I'm like, I kind of like her as a character.
Yeah. But then you hear some music hit and it comes back to the arena.
I knew that music
Ripley.
straight away.
I saw the words Ripley and I was like, oh shit.
The second I heard that, I'm like, yes.
I couldn't help but laugh though, because as she came out with Tegan Nox, as she comes out, Kayla Braxton announcing their opponents, and then Ray is like, looks like you guys don't have a like anyone to face now. And I was like, Kayla just said the match is against you guys. I was like, oopsie.
Yeah.
But she's just like, well, now you do. And as she's saying it, I'm pretty sure it was like Pat was just like, she's from Australia, by the way.
Yeah,
and
and Tom Phillips was like, oh yeah. Because her accent is strong. Like her accent is a lot regular Australian compared to...
she's very bogan. She's very like, she's what I'd call like a Frankston bogan.
She's from Adelaide.
Like, voice. Oh, there you go. Even more bogan.
Yeah, so
Adelaide's
like,
bogan as.
So her voice, like, unlike, it's very similar to Buddy Murphy's, as in like Peyton
Very
Royce and
thick, very
Peyton Royce and Billy Kay. Theirs is a turned up Australian, a bit more like stereotypical. Where these guys are more genuine, authentic Australian accent.
Definitely.
So yeah, then they came in and just kicked the shit out of everyone.
Yep, absolutely. I did have a laugh because Renee is like, that Ray Ripley's just too big, and I was just like, oh my god, she's a tall lady.
She's huge. She's a huge woman, and like she's astounding. And like the second she takes off that jacket and you see how broad her shoulders are, I'm like, fuck,
Someone's gonna die.
Someone's gonna like. She looks amazing. Like she's gonna wreck anyone.
Absolutely ripped eyes. They do mention that she is the first ever NXT UK Women's Champion.
That's correct. She was.
So yeah, they absolutely brutalize. Ray Ripley, don't ask me why, is taking on Mandy Rose while Tegan Nox.
Yeah, I really thought Ray would have gone straight for
Deville.
Deville. Yeah,
definitely. But yeah, at one stage, this made me cringe a little bit. I felt so bad. Tegan Nox throws Sonya Deville over the announce table and she's like, that's how we do it NXT, baby. And Pat's like hyping her up. And then like,
but during that throw, you'll notice that Sonya Deville boots the shit out of Renee's face. That's what I just said.
Renee starts complaining, and I didn't see that bit. I watched the replay and you see her foot just clocks Renee right in the face. Renee has no time to get out of the way. And then she's talking about, like, at the end of the match about having a bloody nose and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, shit, poor Renee. Her first night back on SmackDown and she ends up with a blood nose. Poor babe. But yeah, match obviously does go to Rhea Ripley with that inverted cloverleaf, like, whole lift up leg arm bar thing, which Mandy Rose does tap out to. And then yeah, it shows the replay and like Renee complaining she's got tissues in her hand because Deville's just booted her in the face. Poor babe. But it was so good. It was so good to just see Rhea Ripley just rip everybody apart.
It was absolutely astounding. I loved it so much.
So good.
Then we get another main ad breaks. Then we get Triple H and HBK. They're into the arena to come sit ringside. Then Stephanie McMahon comes in and she does a bit of a hype up about the universe, about they created the women's evolution and allowed for that match to happen at Saudi Arabia. So it was essentially just a big hype for that.
Yeah, and again, rewatching just that little video and that little bit of footage, like I got teary again. Just,
same.
Seeing the passion in Natalia, like you could hear Natalia welling up talking about it, even Lacey welling up talking about it, and that sort of like struck my chords as well, as somebody who's watched, back in the day when Lawler was like staring at girls like half naked in the ring, yelling out puppies and things like that, to where we are now and how they're taken seriously as superstars and not eye candy. It's huge. Absolutely huge.
It's absolutely astounding, as we said at the start of the show. So I think we could give it more praise, but it's just
it speaks for itself.
It's pretty much So then we get the match: Adam Cole, Daniel Bryan, NXT Championship. This motherfucker went for like 40 minutes.
Oh, it was a long ass match. Beautiful. One thing I did notice when Adam Cole came out, he did have Roderick Strong. Yep. And they did a little like thing together, and then Roderick just like disappeared, and I was like, okay, bye.
Because that was my concern too. My concern was that they would come in and then do some sort of like Undisputed Era doing it dirty.
Yeah.
No, like Roderick Strong came in, saw him through and left. So both Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish weren't there. They had a house show, I think, for NXT. So
maybe.
Pardon me, it's one of their touring shows. So that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely astounding match.
Phenomenal.
Oh my God.
The entire time I was staring intently at the screen, like what's going to happen next. Like those two are phenomenal. Daniel Bryan, like we know how I feel about Daniel Bryan as a superstar. Like I love the way he wrestles.
Now, one of the things that did get mentioned during this as well was this is the first time the NXT Championship has been defended outside of NXT. That is in fact incorrect. Drew McIntyre had done it in the past. I believe he won it, I think. But yes, that's way back in the day. So that's kind of a misannouncement from their part. But so keep going. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no, that's all good. I was just going to get to sort of the end of it. Obviously, like, it was so touch and go. There was, throughout the match, you could not tell who was going to take it. There was parts where I was like, shit, Daniel Bryan's got this. And there were parts where I was like, maybe not. Ultimately, Adam Cole did come out with the retain. That came from he got this beautiful super kick, which HBK, like, Shawn Micheals jumped out of his chair about, with obviously Triple H ringside just cheering him on, like, a lot of emphasis on Triple H, obviously, because NXT is his baby. They are his superstars.
But and HBK is just like, he's adopted that NXT. Like he throws as much love for it as Triple H.
We do find out later on. He does this beautiful super kick into a Panama Sunrise, and then I believe it's called the last shot. That brutal knee to the back of the head. And he does get the 1, 2, 3 for the win. And as that happens, all the NXT superstars just come and invade the ring. Triple H and HBK get in the ring. Triple H grabs a microphone. He's like, you want the thunder? You got it. Like, you want to fight SmackDown and Raw? Like, we'll bring the ruckus.
And he directly quotes something from the thing was when D-Generation X were getting formed or something. We talked about if you want to start a war, you need your blood.
You
need they need 2 sweets, an army. So you need an army, and an army is blood. You need 2 sweets, HBK. And then you need your family. And then he stood with NXT.
Blood,
and I'm
family,
like,
friends.
I was so
arm around Shayna Baszler and stuff like that. I did see Leo Rush standing there with his title.
Yeah, because technically, cruiserweight, the NXT cruiserweight. Championship.
Yeah, with his little dreadlocks going on, super cute, Leo Rush. I like that look.
Yeah, so I was motivated as all hell from this. I was like, yes, NXT.
Yeah, absolutely hyped about it.
Yeah.
And then I did
reforming of DX. Thank you, Dash.
Yeah, Pat McAfee kept going on about, like, best SmackDown ever, November 1st, 2019. Like, he kept talking about how it was the best SmackDown ever. Kept repeating that throughout the night as well before he's like, I'm going to go celebrate with my friends. Like, best ever SmackDown, November 1st, 2019.
So I've also been corrected by chat. 2nd of June 2015 was the first time NXT was defended external to NXT. Kevin Owens defended the NXT Championship against Zack Ryder. So I was incredibly wrong.
Well, there you go. Interesting.
And Paul James jumped in the chat because he's a Patreon supporter as well. Hey! He goes, hey, wrestling's on. I don't know what the fuck is going on. In time, Paul. In time. But that does bring us to the end of this episode of SmackDown. Jem, how do you rate this one?
I kind of want to put beard on my fingers because then I can give it 2 old Tommaso Ciampa's.
2 Ciampas?
Hey, I like because he's bald.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a thumb. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, big old 2 Kurt Angles. 100%. 1, 2, solid Kurt boys. It was phenomenal. Like, you kept telling me I was in for a ride because I only watched it this afternoon, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, it might be all right. And then I was like, oh damn.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in the same boat, man. I wish I had more thumbs, so I give this show more Kurt Angles. Like, this is it's a straight up 2 Kurt Angle show. 10
out of 10.
I doubt that this will extend
5-star review on Yelp.
Yeah, I doubt this will extend any further than tonight. This show. Because I imagine this NXT invasion was planned probably a bit later in the month.
Yeah, of course.
So I think they'll touch upon this. Will SmackDown retaliate and go to NXT? Probably not.
No.
Like, I would love to see that. That would be amazing if, like, there's a situation of Raw and SmackDown both going over there. Even just rocking up because, obviously live show would be very, very cool. Overall, I thought this was fantastic. Even just a one-shot sort of situation.
Yeah, exactly. It was perfectly, like, obviously we know that things change on a dime with the WWE, and we know that anything can happen at any time. So it was the best recovery that they could have asked for.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it could have gone a lot worse.
Completely agree. And for everyone that was there, damn. What an absolute banger of a show that you got by accident.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. I that's one I'd probably go back and rewatch like sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm contemplating watching it again. If I could see it without ad breaks, if I could just watch that full Adam Cole Bryan match without any ads, that'd be astounding. Absolutely astounding.
Yeah,
I'm very excited to see that. But anyway, that also brings us to the end of this show. Now, as we discussed before, we do not have a dirt sheet on this on the SmackDown episode, mostly because by us recording on a Monday, not much happens on the weekend, and everything that would have been on a sheet today, we discussed with the Saudi Arabia stuff. So it's pretty much everything's on the nose right there. Dash says, I honestly do think we're going to see people jumping over.
Ooh.
Because I was listening to if you want another wrestling podcast, go listen to it is a WWE show. It's called After the Bell. It's Corey Graves is the host.
Oh yeah.
It's actually really good. I listened to it the other day. So it does a discussion with Triple H around NXT, around how this is going to go. And Dasher says they're going for an invasion angle again. Yeah. So we would like to see them, but I think maybe not like this week. We're not going to see NXT this week be invaded by SmackDown. It might be in a couple of weeks. To really get that last minute hype up. It's not going to be a month-long story by any stretch. So they talk about how there's not going to be no such thing as call-ups in the traditional sense anymore because this is the third show now. It's a 3-pillar system. And that makes me so happy. Knowing that they're getting that treatment.
It's not a call up, it's a cross brand.
Yeah, it's cross brand. It's drafts and those sort of shake ups. Like they won't have the traditional like out of nowhere NXT person comes up. But even if they do, it's not like Vince going, "Hey, I need them for next week." It's like, okay, when are they done? They're done in like February. All right, we'll take them in February. Yeah. So it's going to be a bit more of a discussion piece in that sense, which is from the sound of the interview. Because like this show with Corey, although it's within kayfabe in some sense, it's also out of kayfabe in a lot, because he talked about the idea of it being like, if I had to sit here and, jerk the show's dick, I wouldn't. He's like,
Yeah, so obviously being an insider, I guess it's like an insider's view to the kayfabe of things, like being involved in it so heavily, it's a really great way for him to give us that insight of what goes on backstage. Because
Bayley was on there, and Bayley's interview was still very much just more progression about her character, with Triple H's interview and even Seth Rollins' interview was a bit more off script, not following the rules sort of thing. Was very cool. Very, very good. So once you're done listening to this show, every Tuesday and Thursday, why don't you go check out After the Bell? But so that does bring us to the end of the show. This SmackDown conversation happened on a Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. on your podcast services, including Spotify, 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you want to join our wrestling conversation, head over to the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/thepopculturists, Twitter, Discord, all the links are in the description and under our faces. Once again, big thank you to Dash for creating this cool layout that we will now have. So whenever Jem is unable to make it into the studio, it'll still look better. There'll be no more floating head. But as we said, there will still be times when we'll come in studio. But as of right now, this is what it is. So if you want to join the conversation as it happens, just randomly wander in like Paul does, head over to patreon.com/thepopculturist. Support us at any dollar value. You get our SmackDown in reviews, you get our pay-per-view in reviews, you get our Raw in reviews live with us, so you can chat with us in the chat window that's just over there for me. And you also get our PlayStation show for the players. We are also, if you want to support us in a more one-stop fashion though, head over to popcultures.com/shop where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. We are in the middle of creating some Christmas designs. So Christmas coming up, so you have like an ugly sweater, but it's a t-shirt, some stuff like that. Could be and
hopefully with my face on it.
Paul still has no idea what's going on. As he says in the chat. And we are also on Twitch, twitch.tv/thepopculturists. Thank you very much, Jem, for taking some time.
Woo!
And we'll see you all. We'll see you all for the Raw discussions. But until then, I'm Ryan Betson,
and I'm Jem XT.
Oh, I like that one. That's very good. See you then.
Bye.
The Young and the Restless, the Pop Culturist WWE podcast, is fan support over at Patreon at patreon.com/thepopculturist. And we'd like to thank our Patreon producers and our Patreon founders for their kindness, their support, and their generosity. Our Patreon founders: Alpha Ferret, Craig O'Flaherty, David Chataway, Jesse Stevenson, and Jacob Garner. And our Patreon producers: AJ Abatomi, Damien Holdies, Kyle Dunn, Lee Wintershoven, Nathan Massetti, Paul James, Pure Mongrel, and Sean Levitt.